Hey folks, Dr. Bob McCauley. One of my videos has caused quite a bit of trouble. You may have seen one of my videos called 14 Questions for Meat Eaters. I just want to say the reason I made that video was people saying, well, I was just trolling people, I was just trying to get attention. Well, there was a little bit of that. But quite frankly, I just got tired of answering questions all the time. Now, I answered 40 questions for naturopaths, and then I answered 10 questions for vegans. I thought maybe it's time I could answer a few questions of my own. So I make this video, 14 questions for meat eaters, and the internet goes crazy and starts attacking me. I got more thumbs down, I got more negative comments than I'd ever seen before. And one of the reasons is because it went out to a bunch of people that are really not my usual listeners. They're just general public. Well, that would mean most of the people out there that saw it were meat eaters. Well, what does that tell you? For years and years and years, I've been a vegetarian now 38 years. I've been a vegan close to 15, maybe 20 years, something like that. So I don't eat meat, fish, eggs, or dairy. I've always said I really don't care what you eat, and I really don't care. But I will be honest with you, when I see somebody eating meat, I'm offended. I'm not mad. I don't want to go over there and tell them to stop eating it. I don't want to tell them that you're killing animals. You know, the animal had to die for you. I don't want to tell any of that stuff to them. You can do whatever you want. Just figure it out for yourself. You should be able to do that. When I asked those 14 questions, the reason they got such an incredible reaction is for two reasons. Number one, most people are meat eaters. You can say anything you want. If you attack people that are the vast majority, of course, you're going to get pushback. You can attack vegans all day long. I answered those 10 questions for vegans because they were really insulting. They were meant to be insulting. Some of them were offensive, and sometimes they were insulting, and sometimes they were both. I don't really care. I just answered them, and that was the end of it. I didn't think any more about it. Like I said, I've been offended so many times with, questions about vegans and people eating meat meat right in front of me deliberately, that kind of stuff. I really don't care. And so what if I get offended? Since when should the offended rule the earth? I'm offended, so you need to stop doing something? I mean, you know what, if I'm offended by something, I just pretty much move on. But it's the fact that vegans are just so outnumbered. I mean, what are vegans? 1%? Vegetarians? 3% of the population? Maybe? I mean, people are telling it's like 20%. It's not. It's about as much as atheists. Atheists keep telling us they're like 20% of the population. You're not. You're not even close. Okay? It's just, you're not. And same with vegetarians and vegans. It's a very small percentage of the population. So when you go out there and you say, I've got 14 questions for meat eaters, and it's most of the population, I mean, they go crazy. And the reason is because they've never heard anything like this before. They've never been asked those type of questions. This is the norm. I mean, this is the way I grew up. I grew up on meat and potatoes. I didn't become a vegetarian until I was an Indian. It doesn't really matter. The point is that I decided not to eat meat. I'm a very small percentage of the population, and so therefore I think in a different way. Well, when you just eat meat all the time, then you're going to think, how dare you ask me these questions? This is insulting. This is offensive. Just to be asked those questions. People get taken out of their comfort zone. That's when you really, and they start being asked questions about, things that are really a little uncomfortable about, maybe something never really thought about before. That's when they start getting angry. And when they get angry, they usually point the finger of accusation at the person that asked the question. And in this case, that was me. 14 questions, just questions. And I said, I'm just asking questions. And look at the reaction I got. And I got it from everybody. I got it from people that I know and people that I don't know. My whole point is, again, I don't care what you eat, but you think about those 14 questions, you look at those 14 questions, and you tell me if any of them are really that upsetting. Somebody said, well, you're just looking to make trouble with people. Just answer the questions. I mean, the first question, have you ever killed the meat that you eat? Boy, that got a lot of really bad reactions. There's this thing called hunting. My best friend is a hunter. He goes out and hunts. So what? I've known it my whole life. What am I supposed to say? I don't morally agree with what you... I don't really care. You can go out hunting. You can go out and do anything you want. Just answer the questions and think for just a little bit of time why you eat the meat that you eat. And why do you eat the meat you eat? Well, you're used to it. And that's the only reason. You're used to it. You know, if you just take a small handful of spirulina or chlorella, okay, just like that, not even that, barely that, that's all the protein you need for your meal. So why are you eating meat? You like the taste. I mean, I could go on and on. It's a secondary food source. You're eating the food that eat the plants. It's not a very good food. Okay, if it's not a high quality food, it's a low vibration food. It's not like a raw food or anything. There's lots of reasons not to eat it. But it's just the fact that when you take somebody out of that mindset for just a little bit and you start challenging what they do on a regular basis, day in and day out, which they never think about, that gets them really mad. And I like it when people do that to me because it makes me stop and think, what am I doing? Am I doing the right thing here? Am I still on the right path? Maybe I ought to re-examine. I do it all the time. I do it all the time. It's one of the main reasons I go to church, just so I can reflect and go, am I in the right place here? Am I in the right direction? Am I with the right people? Am I doing the right things? All those questions come to me. And I try to answer them, and I like being taken out of my comfort zone because comfort zones are killers. You start getting asked questions that you're not used to being asked, and you get very upset. Dr. Bob, don't get upset by my questions. I'll see you next time. If you like my work and my philosophy, you might like some of my books, The Miraculous Properties of Ionized Water, The 7 Components to Great Health, Silver, The Miracle Mineral, The End of Infectious Disease, and God's Path to Disease-Free Living, What the Scriptures Tell Us About Health.